Greetings, everyone. Welcome. I appreciate you being here. We'll just give it a few minutes as folks enter into our webinar session. So please be patient. We'll begin in a minute. Okay, we'll get started. Thanks for being with us today. Appreciate you being here. Today's webinar from Ueda is how to submit a UEDA Awards of Excellence application. And today's webinar is designed to provide support for institutions and organizations that are considering submitting an application for the 2021 UEDA Awards of Excellence program. My name is Tim Hines. I'm the Executive Director of UEDA, and I'll serve as today's MC, for lack of a better word, for the webinar today. Our Awards of Excellence program recognizes leading edge initiatives in university-based economic development and encourages their adoption among UEDA members. But before we get into our content, I just want to list a few housekeeping items. First, if you have any questions throughout the presentation today, we're going to have a number of presenters. So please use that Q&A function and it'll get to our presenters and we'll share those and respond to those at the end of our presentation today. If for some reason you're having any technical difficulties, you also have that chat function that you can chat directly with me, and I'll try to help you through those as best I can as I'm presenting. And then everyone today will be on mute except for our presenters, and we will be recording today's session, and it'll be posted to the UEDA YouTube channel following this in the next few days. So if you do need to reference something that we've mentioned, please feel free to visit our YouTube channel. All the information you can about the Awards of Excellence program, though, you can find at awards.universityeda.org. We'll have that website pop up towards the end of the presentation today. There's a tiny URL on the screen that also gets you there, but the awards.universityeda.org is the quicker, more easy to remember route. And as a reminder, our deadline is July 1st. So as we progress through this, just remember that we are working against that deadline of July 1st, and we'll talk about that during our eligibility. So let's dig right in to our session today. So first, I want to talk just a little bit about UEDA because some folks might be here participating for the first time. But established in 1976, UEDA is North America's membership association that brings together the public sector, public and private higher education, private sector, as well as public agencies and community economic development stakeholders, all together around economic development and advancing their regions. So our members are those who are on the leading edge of higher ed economic engagement and are working to expand economic opportunity and prosperity within the communities and regions. And they do that by leveraging education and talent development, research and technology development, community building, placemaking strategies. Our members include everything from higher education institutions to economic developers, for-profit sector, as I mentioned, and they're all working to advance their region. So it's really about collaboration. It's really about that higher education economic engagement ecosystem, and we talk a lot about that in Ueda. So as a typical trade association, we provide news, information, public policy, education, programming, and best practice sharing. And the best practice sharing is why we're here today. So UEDA works to expand an economic opportunity in the communities and where our members live by leveraging research, community and campus planning, talent development, technology commercialization. And of course, you can find more about UEDA at our website, universityeda.org. So without further ado, let me introduce today's speakers. You already kind of know me, so I'll continue on with our next speaker, which will be Genna Hurd later on in the presentation. Genna is joining us from Kansas. She's an associate researcher at the Institute of Policy and Social Research at the University of Kansas. She's also the UEDA treasurer and default historian, as well as our Awards of Excellence Committee member. And anyone that knows Genna, there's nothing defunct about her and her engagement with Ueda. So thank you, Genna. And Genna will present in a little bit, and then we'll also have Jenny present. Jenny comes to us from Dallas today. Jenny's the manager of economic development initiatives at the University of Texas, Dallas. She's an Awards of Excellence Committee member, as well as a past award winner. And she's going to be sharing her experience going through the AOE application process. AOE is just our shorthand for saying Awards of Excellence. So without continued further ado, we'll get into our agenda. So what we want to do today is we want to talk about how you can prepare and formulate your submission for UEDA for the Awards of Excellence. We'll talk about the process. We'll talk about eligibility, the categories, how the judges are going to be judging the awards of excellence, the timeline, a little bit about presentations at the summit. We're also going to, of course, answer any questions that you might have at the end of the presentation. Just a reminder about that Q&A button, and it will definitely last less than an hour. So we'll have time back in your day, hopefully by the end of today. So why apply? It's interesting that both finalists and category winners receive benefits from the Awards of Excellence program. So some past participants have received things like recognition, of course, from your peers on an international scale. The Awards of Excellence program is unique because the participants at our summit actually do select the candidates and the actual category leaders. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it's recognition and validation from your peers. So that validation, it also provides that validation that the initiative is novel and impactful. It also provides expanded access to grants and funding. A lot of our Awards of Excellence finalists and awardees have gotten justification for the work that they've done and have been able to use and leverage the Awards of Excellence as a feather in their cap for applying for additional funding, for additional support. Sometimes that's internal, sometimes that's external. It also spurs enrollment because you can encourage and show your engagement within economic development and use that to promote enrollment and partnership engagement throughout the institution, and build on the institution's reputation, help you better tell your story about what it is that you do and how you engage with your community. So we want to showcase that institutions are committed to meaningful economic engagement activities, and the Awards of Excellence program definitely does do that. So thinking about the important dates and times, of course, I mentioned that July 1st is the nomination deadline. That's when your applications do have to be in our hands by. We will have our committee review those nominations, and then we will select finalists in the different categories. The finalists will be notified by early to mid-August. We try to do that as soon as we possibly can because we recognize that travel plans and approvals hinge on that. So we try to get that out as quickly as we possibly can. Late August, we will have a finalist webinar. So that webinar will be with all of those that have been selected as finalists. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about the presentation at the summit and how you should build that. And we'll coach you on that a little bit. And then, of course, an important date to remember is the UEDA Summit. Our finalists will present in person at that UEDA Summit, and that's September 19th to the 21st. It's in Savannah, Georgia. Who doesn't want to get out and go to Savannah, Georgia, right? So keep those dates on your calendar. Whether you submit for an award of excellence or not, it's going to be a great event. A lot of great things planned, and we have some exciting announcements, I think, in the next few weeks that you'll want to pay attention to. At that summit, we do have an awards banquet on Tuesday evening, and we recognize those that have been selected as category leaders throughout the course of the event. So it's an exciting event. We learn from each other. Our community is very collaborative in that sense, and it's really exciting. So talking a little bit about eligibility. So non-UEDA members can nominate one project or initiative for $200 for an application fee. So each initiative that you want to nominate, it would be a $200 application fee. UEDA members can nominate as many projects at no cost as part of their UEDA membership. So as long as your membership's valid, you can submit as many as you like, and there's no fee for that. But if you are a non-member and don't plan to join UEDA, then there is an application fee. Your initiative or project should be at least 24 months old. So this is a guideline. It's nothing that we require, but we do feel that initiatives should have some shelf life to them. If your initiative is not yet completed, or if it was started after July 1st, 2018, then it should be at least at a stage where there's been significant progress and benefits can be measured or clearly anticipated. So as long as you can show that impact in that time frame, then we'll take it, we'll accept it and review it. And that will make your application more competitive in the end, and that's what we're looking out for. You can resubmit an initiative or project, provided that it has not already won a UEDA Award of Excellence. So if your project was a finalist and you presented and you want to resubmit, just make sure that you show some new or significant results that it did not have when you were a finalist. So show some differentiation there. But as long as you did not receive an actual award or a category leader, you can submit again. You can submit more than one project, like I said. In fact, we encourage that. There's no limit to the number of projects, just on the length of your application. Non-UEDA members, again, you just have to pay that application fee for each entry. However, there's a simple way to handle that. Just join UEDA and that restriction will be lifted. So we encourage, of course, membership. We'd rather have you as engaged members throughout the entire UEDA programming year. All awards of excellence nominees will also have the opportunity to expand their recognition and the exposure of their work throughout the year. So we try to do Where Are They Now series. We try to have webinars to showcase these events or these initiatives, even 1, 2, 3, 4 years down the line. We're going through a major effort right now where we're trying to categorize and create a more robust directory. So there is some shelf life to participating in the Awards of Excellence program. Once you're in, you're in, and it's a great club to be a part of, as I'm sure anyone who's participated will tell you. Our framework that was co-authored with the Association of Public Land Grant Universities, APLU, really is the structural foundation for the UEDA Awards of Excellence program. So in 2015, UEDA jointly published Higher Education Engagement and Economic Development Foundations for Strategy and Practice, and that was again with APLU. And this document set forth a common definition for what it means to be engaged in economic development within a region for higher education institutions, as well as creating principles of practice for both business and strategy. But the important thing that really what we use for the Awards of Excellence program is it creates a taxonomy. And that taxonomy, I'm sure if you've been in our circles, you've heard of talent, innovation, and place. And those 3 areas are really where our categories for our Awards of Excellence program. So those foundations are critical. So I would strongly recommend it. If you don't know what category your program fits into, then read the Foundations for Strategy and Practice. You can find it at foundations.universityeda.org and get more information about where to locate it. I will say though that don't really make this a strong struggle internally. Place it in whatever category you feel best represents it. What our judges will do, who are much more familiar with the Foundations for Strategy and Practice, will make sure that it's in a category in which it will compete as best as it possibly can, while still fitting within the categories of the Foundations document. So, you don't have to worry about, is it talent, is it place? It's kind of both. We'll make that distinction as we look at all the applications. So don't fret over that. List as best you can, and we'll take care of it from there. So I'll turn things over to Genna to talk a little bit about how the awards committee judges these awards.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, the category, I'm going to go over a little bit about the categories, but the judges will read your nomination, and we will move the award around. We only do that though when it works to your advantage. So let's start with the 6 award categories. The first one is talent, and this includes a range of knowledge transfer activities by which universities educate people, develop human capital for the 21st century knowledge economy. It can include like lifelong learning, both degree and non-degree programs, experiential education, discovery-based learning programs, active alignment of curricula to your industry needs or other workforce and pipeline talent needs that your region may have. Talent plus innovation is synergistically combines the talent and innovation categories to create innovators of many kinds, business entrepreneurs, ideas or product makers, and problem solvers. Entrepreneur education projects and experiential learning projects that connect students with the entrepreneurs are just 2 examples included in this category. And then we have innovation, and that begins with basic research that then builds on knowledge creation to encompass knowledge transfer and application in ways that are useful and relevant to society. So it can encompass basic research, applied, translational, problem-oriented, industry contracted R&D, cooperative extension services, technology transfer. Those things would all fall under innovation. Innovation plus place connects those two categories, and it creates physical places that attract and build concentrations of talent and innovators. It builds the knowledge communities, and it can be construed as either or both a specific site, such as a university research and technology park, an incubator, an accelerator, or it can include a larger area or region, such as an innovation district, or even some universities have done downtown development with innovation centers and placemaker spaces in their downtown. So that would include that. Place is defined as the many diverse ways in which institutions contribute to making attractive, competitive communities. And I'd like to say community can be defined broadly here to also include a region or even your state, or maybe across state boundaries. So it's places where people want to live, create and take jobs, raise their families, participate in civic life, age and retire. So competitive, successful communities are attentive to the health, education, environment, housing, safety, and entertainment needs of their community members. So campuses and sites like research parks are components of placemaking, but the focus is, as I previously mentioned, a much broader definition on communities and even regions. And then talent and place are initiatives that synergistically connect those two ways. And so they enrich discourse, they promote civic participation, and otherwise enhance the quality of life. And just a few examples include K through 12 school improvement partnerships, local government training institutes, higher education involvement in regional government, higher education involvement with economic development organizations, and it can also include community and wellness projects or initiatives. So now, Tim, let's go to the judging criteria. As you can see, we have 5 areas we look at. Originality and creativity and impact have the weight of 25%, 15% weight on that leadership and collaboration component, and then 15% on replicability, scalability, and sustainability. And then just overall, this is kind of a discretionary weighting, just an overall rank by the judges. So to give you a little bit more detail on that. Originality and creativity. Next slide, yeah. Does the project make a new and original contribution to this category? Does it introduce an innovative way of thinking and doing? Or is it a new type of project or initiative that can be used to expand UDA's foundational taxonomy of talent, place, and innovation? And does it represent an important new innovation in a way that of a more established program, such as you take a workforce training program and maybe you apply it to a disadvantaged population? So it's kind of a new innovative approach to include non-traditional participants. Does it offer a new mode of service delivery, altering established incentive structures, or establishing new measurements and tracking systems? These would all be things we'd look at under originality and creativity. So we're kind of looking like what makes this project different or unique from other projects. Impact. Does the applicant have a clear logical plan to achieve their intended impact and to track their progress towards achieving the impact? Now, the application does have quantitative metrics in there. And so the important thing for you is, have you thought about the metrics, how you're going to measure and track it, and how appropriate is that for your project? We look at the scale and type of project to determine the impact. So we'll look at, the time. So that's usually why we recommend 24 months out from a project, so you do have some impact. But we also look at, are the kinds of metrics appropriate? So we will look at the scale of projects. You know, some bigger projects are obviously going to have more impact, but we'll look at, is that impact, is that good for the scope that this project is addressing? Under replicability, oh no, leadership and partnership next. Okay. So this is where we look at the role of the university with the project and the situation. If we can't make a connection, like what type of leadership or collaboration or strategic partnerships did the university have with this project, it's not going to get ranked very high under this specific criteria. So you want to clearly describe your relevant stakeholders, how they were identified, consulted, and engaged in the conception and implementation. And that you want to clearly demonstrate your institution's role as a leader or convener in this project. And did the initiative involve partnerships with regional economic developers, organizations, governments, nonprofits, industry, other institutions of higher education, other relevant collaborators? And were those partnerships clearly described in terms of the role of each partner? So, and how did these partnerships enhance this project? So we'd be looking at things like that. Next one. I think this is fairly self-explanatory: replicability, scalability, and sustainability. So we look at, you know, how easy would it be for other institutions to duplicate your project? You know, can it easily be scaled up or down? So some projects might have a pretty big price tag, but can you take elements and scale it up or down? So you really will want to address that in your application. Can it be sustained once, if there's some initial funding? Do you have a business model in place or just a plan in place really to sustain this project beyond the life of its funding? Again, the nature and scope of the project can influence this, but the judges are mindful of that. So they're going to look at what's appropriate based on the project. Next slide. So overall, so the judges bring our experience in the university-based economic development world, and we bring with us our experience, and so we wanted to have some measure of just an overall subjective measure of the judges. Like for me, I've been judging the awards of excellence for 10 years. And so I've seen a lot of really, really good projects. And so I might look at something like this and say, I really like this project, or it's addressing an important issue right now for our society. It has a larger impact on our society. So we will just be bringing our own expertise into this criteria. And it's now, so that's when the judges are judging. At the summit, you'll be judged also by your peers if you're a finalist. And a lot of times they will look at the quality of the finalist presentation. And the presenter's responsiveness to the questions that are asked, but also to addressing the various criteria. So, and they will also, your peers will be bringing their own set of experiences when they weight this project. So now I'd like to turn it over to Jenny. We've got Jenny from the University of Texas at Dallas, and she's going to join us to give us an overview of her experience applying for the Awards of Excellence. So Jenny, it's all yours.
Thank you, Genna. So I'm Jenny Mizutowicz. I'm the Manager of Economic Development Initiatives at the University of Texas at Dallas. And forgive me, I'm not going to turn on my camera today because I have an eye injury. And so it's probably not something that you guys want to look at. But my experience with the Awards of Excellence spans a few years. In 2019, my organization was a winner in the Innovation in Place category. And then last year in 2000, we were a finalist in the Place category. And so now I'm a member of the Awards of Excellence Committee. And so I've seen both what it's like to apply for an award, and now I have an idea of the type of criteria that we're looking for when we judge the awards this summer. So I'd like to leave you guys with just 4 tips to consider when you submit your application this summer. And the first is to use a lot of metrics to convey your project's impact. So you can use a lot of words to describe how great and how wonderful your project is, but the way that the judges and ultimately your peers will be able to evaluate one project over the other is objective metrics. And so talk about, how did enrollment increase because of this project? Or how many visitors did you bring to campus because of this project? How many new startups did this project help in your community, etc. So the more metrics you're able to include in your project, the better. The next tip is not to assume that the judges know how great your project is, but to really sell it. And this can happen when we talk with our peers. We often assume that we already know a lot of things about our project. We speak in acronyms. We use jargon that our peers may know what it means. But make sure to use language and really sell your project as if the judges know nothing about your project at all. So don't assume that we already know the background or the context, but really talk about what makes your project wonderful, and don't be afraid to sound redundant. Really tell us explicitly what makes your project great. The third is to tie your project to overall conference themes and trends, issues, and economic development. So this year's conference is Transformation, Forward Thinking in a Changing World. Also think about different issues and trends in economic development. So what are universities and economic development organizations thinking about and talking about right now? What are important issues in economic development today? If you can tie your application to one of these issues, then that gives you a competitive advantage in the selection process. If you can make your project relevant to the bigger trends and issues in economic development. And finally, Tim already mentioned this, and Genna, they mentioned that we may move your application to a category that is more appropriate, but make sure that you read the category, to read the description, and make sure that you're putting it in your application in the appropriate category. So actually read the description. And I can give you one example of how this could have benefited me in the past. In the place category, if you read the description, the place category is really more about the impact that the project has on the overall community and not so much on your university. So make sure when you're placing your project in the category that you've actually read the description and you know what the judges are and ultimately your peers are judging you for. So 4 quick tips for you guys. And if you can advance the slide, Tim, I just want to end with just some fun pictures from when my boss, Dr. Jamison, and I won in Reno in 2019. And the reason I want to share these pictures is because you'll notice that they're in person, and we'll once again get to convene in Savannah in 2021 this September. So I wanted to share these fun pictures of us being able to celebrate and our peers to hopefully get you guys excited about being able to have an in-person conference in Savannah this year. And that bottom picture is when we returned to Dallas and we were actually posing with our awards, and we were able to pose and tell the story to our community and have some publications go out in Dallas. We were really proud of being award winners in 2019. And that's all I have for you guys today. I'm happy to take some questions in the end.
Thanks, Jenny. Appreciate it. So, and I'm sure we do have some questions coming in. So please do use that Q&A function as we wrap up the meat of our presentation today. So all applications, like I said, are due July 1st. And I don't foresee us, just because of the tight deadline, I don't foresee us extending that. So please, and we have in the past, as of right now, we don't anticipate extending that, just because, again, we're traveling. We need to give time to have our committee review them, and we need to give you time to then make travel arrangements. So we are sticking to July 1st. We're going to do our best to do that. You can access, again, all the awards information, as well as a link to this application portal at awards.universityeda.org. I'll have a link in a minute that will have that rather than the tiny URL. And then also coming up, of course, make sure that the summit is on your radar. Registration is now open. We're in early bird ticketing. So please, if you are interested, I do anticipate we will probably have some capacity restrictions based on how registrations are trending. I would say make reservations now because we are trending ahead of typical summits as far as registration goes. So we want to make sure that you get to attend. I think people are eager to get out and meet each other and connect. So we're excited for that. And we're excited to offer the summit to provide that opportunity. So with that, we'll get into questions. Instead of leaving a slide up that isn't useful, I'm going to leave our important dates up. And I mentioned that we have some URLs here. So the summit, the quick link to our summit is summit.universityeda.org. And the quick link to our awards is at awards.universityeda.org. And let's get right into some questions. And the first one I'll toss to you, Genna. Can you list or share what might be different from previous years and into this year? Has anything been added to the application that the committee added, or any changes that have been made from previous years?
No, the award categories are the same. The only really thing that's changed are the deadlines. We had addressed the criteria change a couple of years ago. So no, except that we're going to be in person this year, and you do need to, someone from your institution does need to attend to make the presentation, but that's nothing different. So I saw, Tim, that someone wanted us to go over the eligibility requirements again. So I just thought I could do that. You do not need to be a member of UEDA to apply for Award of Excellence, but you will be charged for each application. So that's a $200 fee. But if your institution is a member, you can enter put in as many applications as you like. If you're not sure that your institution is a member, contact Tim and he'll let you know. And we do recommend that the project be 24 months at least old, and that helps you show some significant progress. And when you put up your metrics, if your project has some outcomes, that's going to be helpful to you. You can resubmit if you've been a finalist before. You can't resubmit if you won. So, but you need to demonstrate some new or significant changes. And you can submit more than one project. And that last bullet point is actually not correct. There's not an editor's award in each category anymore, but there will be an overall, the judges reserve the right at the summit to select an overall, give out an overall judges award winner. And this might be, sometimes it's someone that wasn't selected in their category, but the judges felt it just deserved special recognition. And so that, once again, that would be a subjective award made at the summit by the judges.
Yeah, and eligibility is pretty wide open. I mean, our membership does span more than just higher ed institutions. It's higher ed institutions and their partners. We have had non-higher ed institutions also submit, again, members and non-members alike. It's always, I think, a stronger application for our audience as far as what they actually nominate and recommend as not only finalists within the awards committee, but also actual voting at the summit. I think whenever you show that connection with higher ed institutions, recognize that most of our audience engage in higher ed institutions in some way. So I would make sure that relationship, if it isn't part of the application nomination, that the higher ed institution isn't nominating, I would recommend that at least that relationship or partnership is called out in some way. I think that'll make a stronger application. Do you agree, Genna?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I saw, let's see, someone wanted to know if we knew, let's see. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I read something in the chat.
Yeah, as far as members go, so we do have a member directory on our website. It's clunky and we don't have that much control over it. You can also email me and I'm happy to just give you a quick update and let you know if you are a member or not.
And
Because
when
a lot
we're
of times,
judging, yeah, and when we're judging, we don't necessarily know if the applicant is a member or not. That doesn't influence our decision on the judging.
right. And a lot of times at institutions, memberships can fall in various locations, Office of Economic Development, business school, there's a lot of places, president's office. So it really depends. So you might not know that another department at your institution is a member. So yeah, reach out to me. My information is on the website and I'm happy to guide you through that process. We had some questions come in about the presentations itself and who presents. Is it someone from the institution? Is it a partner? Who's recommended to present at the summit? So maybe both of you can kind of give your thoughts on that.
Well, Jenny, I think it's important that the person presenting knows about the project and is enthusiastic about it. Sometimes the enthusiasm goes a long way on the presentation with the audience. And I do not recommend more than 1 or 2 people present, because the time is limited, and we'll cut you off on your presentation. So if you have too many people, then it gets a little bit disjointed. Jenny?
I would agree with that, Jenna. I would say 2 max, just because in a short amount of time, it just makes it kind of clunky to have to be transitioning between multiple speakers. And in terms of who would be the appropriate person, I would be somebody that is either directly involved in the project, or maybe the department lead, somebody that has good communication skills, because you are being judged by your peers, you will be judged on your presentation style ultimately. So somebody is a good communicator that can communicate the impact of the project.
And if your project involves students, people love it to hear from a student make the presentation, and it's a good opportunity for the students to attend an event like that. And so if that's possible, particularly if your project is very student oriented, but I wouldn't put a whole bunch of students up there. Once again, I would limit the number of people that speak.
Yeah, I think that I would also echo the good presenter over someone with a good title. You definitely want to capture the audience. We want engaging presentations. So, and we'll get into a lot more about the finalist presentations as well. And we have a presentation, a webinar that's just for finalists, that if you are selected as a finalist, it talks about summit registration, the presentation itself. If we see some gaps in content across the presentations, like we might emphasize, hey, we really want you to have one slide that's dedicated to maybe your impact numbers or something. So that tends to change a little bit year to year, just based on what we see with the application. So we will have more information. We're not on purpose giving you all the information about the presentations, because we just don't know right now. But let's talk about the application process a little bit. I know there's been some questions about that. So whenever you do go to the application online, it's a portal. And what I recommend doing is we have a Word document. It's a worksheet that mimics the portal. You don't need to go into the portal and figure out how the questions are aligned or anything like that. All you need to do is download the Word document, download the worksheet, and fill out that worksheet. Then it's just a copy and paste into the portal. So we create those worksheets on purpose to make your life easier. So craft them within that worksheet, and then paste them and upload them into the document, into the portal whenever you're ready. The portal is accepting all summit content. So whether it's a call for presentations, we have concurrent sessions, so we are accepting presentations for that. The Awards of Excellence nominations and applications also come through that portal, and then lightning round applications come through that portal. Each one has its different workflow. So if you select Awards of Excellence, you'll get the proper application for that within the portal. As far as citing things, maybe outside sources in the application, other things that may be extraneous that you cannot add to the application itself, the best thing to do that would be, the best way to do that would be to create a tiny URL just so it's not taking up so many characters, and then put that into your presentation. I wouldn't get hung up on citing a bunch of economic development statistics or anything. The judges are going to take your word for it that your region has, X number of folks that are located within a food desert, or whatever statistics you're using. We will accept those as truth. We appreciate you wanting to cite those. I think it might be important once you get to the presentation stage that maybe you cite your sources a little bit there. But as far as the application process, we realize it's a form, you're putting things into there. The judges are not going to be as critical or judgy about those kinds of things. They'll take your word for those kinds of statistics. But anything else you want to add to that, Genna, as far as things that you've seen in the applications?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine to put in hyperlinks and maybe link to your website, but keep in mind, the judges are not going to read a 100-page report or something. So, because we just won't have time. So, and we want to kind of try to be fair and judge everything based on the questions in the application. And so keeping that kind of similar. I saw that someone wanted to know if someone from the university or from a partner with the university who should make the presentation. And again, maybe we already answered that, like the person most that would know it, but that is great to include your partners. So you could have someone from the university or someone from your partner institution.
And we do allow for Q&A at the summit too. So
Right.
What some institutions will do is they'll have one person pick your good presenter that will really present well. And then if you aren't sure that person might be able to field questions about the presentation, but they at least present well or engaging and can hit a time mark as far as the length of the presentation goes, then you can have others in the audience that are representative of the project team that could also answer questions. You're not limited to only the person that presented to answer questions. So you might have someone that developed the program in the audience that can help field some questions if there are some towards the end of the presentation, but might not be the most dynamic presenter. So the kinds of things that you got to work out.
Yeah, I see this one about, they want to know about the judges, if they know an institute. Oh, okay, maybe I missed, maybe we already answered that, but I also wanted to point out that if you are from an institution and that the judge is also from, the judge will not judge that category or vote on it to keep, in all fairness. So your application will be judged by people outside of your institution as far as the judge, the awards committee goes. Also, if the project isn't at least 24 months old, should you postpone it? If you have some significant outcomes and impacts, go ahead and submit it. I wouldn't keep that from you just with the recognition that maybe the next year, it would be a good opportunity for you to know and understand the project and maybe get some feedback.
Yeah, I would say the 24 months, and I'm dealing with some barking dogs. I apologize. I'm trying to keep them fed with bones. But so yeah, the 24 months I think is just really a sort of a guideline, a recommendation that we feel we've seen projects mature over periods of time that it's generally 2 years before we're seeing impact. But recognizing that we're in a different environment now and that institutions and regions are developing programs and initiatives that need to scale quickly and show impact quickly in order to recover. So, and that plays very well into our transformation theme. So I would say that if you have something that is less than 24 months old and it's showing quick impact, then the 24 months is just a recommendation that I think we've seen as far as, that maturity of projects. So please make sure that, as long as it's impactful, we'll take it. I think the committee will appreciate that.
Right. And people want to hear about new and innovative approaches to things. And so, if you've got a project out there that nobody else is doing or people haven't heard about, we would love to hear about it.
Yeah, and I see we have a question about the theme. So this is on the Summit website, but I will read it. The theme itself is transformation, forward thinking in a changing world. And we're talking about, new pressures and new thinking in order to grow regional economies. It's not just about recovery, it's about transformation to sustain thriving, resilient economies. We're addressing inequities in economic systems, in defense of the status quo. So those are the kinds of themes and projects and content that we're looking for. The Awards of Excellence program doesn't necessarily have to fit within the theme. It's nice that if you can relate it to the theme, but it's not something that you need to make sure that you've got something that's dealing with transforming your region. That's not necessarily something that you need to have be part of your application process. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. A lot of times I'm judging, I don't even know what the theme is. I maybe shouldn't admit that, but I'm just looking at the project,
Yeah. That's great. So we don't have any other questions in the queue that I can see right now. So I just want to thank everyone for being here. Again, we'll have this recording up online on our YouTube channel within the next few days. So if you do need to reference it, please feel free to do so there. We'll include it in our newsletters and such as well. So just watch for that to come through. If you have any questions, again, about membership status or anything else, drop me an email. Again, my information, Tim Hindes, is on the website under the staff page. Happy to help you out with that, as well as if you have any additional questions about the application process for the Awards of Excellence, I'm happy to assist you with there. And then we've got an events team that if you need help registering or whatever for the summit, that they can get you plugged into that. So thank you all, appreciate it. Genna and Jenny, thank you both so much for your participation today. And we'll hopefully see everyone in Savannah in only a few months.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.